When John and Penelope Newton came to Arkansas from Alabama during the 1840s, they built this stately mansion in El Dorado. Today, it happens to be the only antebellum home in town that's open to the public. John and Penelope Newton at first started a cotton plantation in the area of Champenois, northeast of El Dorado.
Plantation was doing really well. He and Penelope had 6 children, and they started to think, education. We need to get these young people educated. And they had just started up a female academy here in El Dorado, in the town proper, which was very small. So the main drive for this house was to move into town to educate the children. So about 1846 time frame, they started working on the home itself. Now they still lived on the plantation and had full operation of the plantation going at the time while this home was being done. The builders and everything, gentlemen were paid $1 a day, their boys were paid 50 cents a day to build and complete the home. Lumber was all locally sourced, and then everything else, paint, furnishings, rugs, carpets, textiles, all of that, all came by riverboat from New Orleans, and would stop at Champenois Landing, which was just down the way a little bit, come off of the riverboats, loaded onto wagons, and then make it into town to furnish the home. It was completed in 1849. And then everyone had moved in. Years after that, the home was always full. It was filled with traveling ministers, traveling teachers, different artisans in the area, young people. It almost became like a boarding house from a lot of what we found. And then just always full of people, activity, and motion going.
And it was actually moved a half a block from its original location.
Right. Originally it sat on Peach Street and it faced more towards the north. And then when the Wrights, Mary Alabama and her husband, Colonel Wright, sold it in the very last of the 1800s, it ended up in the Garrett's hands about 1910. And they wanted to save the home. They didn't want to tear it down, which was the main consensus at the time. So Mr. Garrett had enough forbearance and thought to save it, preserve it. But he didn't want it in the same place. He wanted his home built there. So he had it lifted, put on rollers, or logs, and rolled down the hill and turned at the same time that he had it rolled so that it would actually end up exactly where it is today. And then he went ahead and he built his Garrett mansion. And now the Garrett mansion is completely gone, but the Newton house is still here.
And in the process of that move, you think that some of those original columns may have been lost?
That's quite possible. From what we can take from the look of it and the way it's written and everything, I think they lost the entire front porch, possibly, during the move. We do know they lost the 4 external chimneys for the fireplaces, and so they put them internal. But when the foundation took back over and restored the place in the 70s, they noticed that the internals weren't right, and then they found some blueprints from back, and they went and originally put back the 4 fireplaces where they were supposed to be.